What's up, everyone? So recently I developed an addiction. I don't know how to come out with this, but I got really addicted to actually making these videos. They're super fun. With the last video, I just straight up had a good time. And I've been really trying to make another video, but the problem with that is it's a work week and I have a full-time job. And I also need to get more comfortable in front of the camera. So what I'm gonna do with you guys today is I'm actually gonna take you around and show you what I do for work. Warning though, it is not a job for those who have a weak stomach, but I'll show you what I do. I'll take you around, and this is a good way for me to get in front of the camera, get a little bit more comfortable doing this because it's really fun, honestly. And if I'm gonna try and become a YouTuber, like I said in my last video, then what better place to start than bringing you guys along into my life. So this is my shop. I run this place by myself, and it is actually I always get a little nervous telling people what I do because most people are like, oh, that's disgusting. But I actually work and run almost single-handedly a sewage treatment facility. So yes, people pump septic tanks, they dump it here, and I process it. And it's a great job, make good money. I work full-time, and I actually really enjoy it. So I'll actually show you the process, like what we do here, and show you my job. So I guess let's get to it. I'll show you where we start. All right, so basically the way this works is we have this big concrete pad up here. There's a bunch of septic trucks around the area that go to people's houses and pump out their septic tanks. And they come up this driveway here, and they back up to these pits. This one's coned off right now because I actually need to clean it. And they dump everything into these pits. And then what happens from here is we got these pipes on the backside of these pits. So when they're done dumping, they open them like this with these valves, and they go down, everything goes down these pipes, goes down and gets stored in that really big tank. That's a 40,000 gallon tank, and some of it sometimes goes into that one, but it's mostly that one. So once the sewage gets dumped way up there, it goes down those pipes, goes into that tank, and then pretty much sits there until we're ready to actually start processing it. And then at that point, what happens is through a series of valves, I bring the waste from those tanks and feed it into this pipe. Where it's teed there, and it goes this way and goes into the building. Once all the sewage and waste is ready to be processed, what I do is I open up some valves in here and turn this thing on, which is probably the grossest, weirdest part of this job, surprisingly. It's a strainer. It's kind of like a colander or something that you would have in your house, in your kitchen. And what happens is the waste comes through this pipe and into there. And there's this big drum in here. And it has, I have to talk loud because it's kind of loud. It's a drum with a bunch of holes in it. And as that goes through, it comes out this other side, all the big, heavy, bigger solids that we don't want going into the rest of the system, and it dumps into here. All the finer stuff in the liquid that's coming out of there goes through here, and it's going into a big tank out back to be stored until it wants to be treated farther. And then when we're on to the next part, I'll show you what happens then. Sweet. Alright, so you might notice it's a little quieter now, and that's because I have finished straining everything in. So now that we're done with that portion of the process, what happens is when everything gets separated from there, all the big stuff, it goes through that like drain that I pointed to underground, and it ultimately ends up in this tank. Ooh, that's bright. this tank. That's the lid for it. It's a big underground tank. It's a 20,000 gallon tank. I could say tank a few more times if you want. So now that that is full, what we do is we come over here and turn this on. And what those do is there's two big pumps out back. And what they're doing is pumping that sewage from that big tank into the facility and starts going through all these pipes that are just laid out freaking everywhere, and sends it in here to be treated. Now this is the most interesting part of this process to me. I actually really enjoy this. It's like a game. And basically what we do is we have these totes up here, and those are full of chemicals, which those are mixed with water diluted to a certain ratio. And then I have to adjust chemicals for that. But first I have to mix the chemicals. So that's what this thing's for. Got a big mixer in there. All right, so this next step I'll explain a little bit more in detail now. The way this works, so the stuff you just saw me mix in that black tub it's a polymer or a flocculant. And what it does is when it gets mixed in at the right ratio with the sewage, the wastewater that we treat here, what it does is it takes all the, what I call microsolids that are in the water, and it makes all those things stick together and kind of separates the solids from the water. And that mixed with another chemical, you kind of need both of them for it to work right. What happens is we mix those in at a certain ratio, and that ratio is adjusted using this little control panel right here and this knob down here. And you tweak those until it's just right to where the solids are collecting really well and separating from the water, and you're getting actually pretty clear water at the end of it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I have it going into this bucket, and this bucket's what we use to test to make sure that it's separating right before we send it to the next step. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll take you to show you where it goes after that. Cool, so now we got it mixing the way we want it to in that tub back there. So now all I have to do is go over here. Gotta flip this lever. Then we flip this lever, and all this lever does is it redirects what's coming in here, and it sends it out to a place where the treating continues outside. I'll show you. Boom. Bye-bye. Alright, so once everything's treated, once I got everything the way I like it inside, it gets sent out here into this. And I know this just looks like a normal tank, just a big storage tank, but this thing's actually pretty cool. It's really simple and really genius at the same time. When everything gets sent out here and it's mixed correctly with the polymers and everything, the water and the solids are in this tank separating from each other. So what that looks like is this. It's hard to see because it's dark, but you see right there, all of the solids are kind of sticking together, and we call that flocking, where it all flocks together. And you can actually see right there, the water is actually coming out clean, separate from the solids. And it's pretty gross, huh? I mean, I'm so used to it, but I realize from somebody else's perspective, you're looking at separating sewage from water. So pretty neat. But anyways, the inside of this is lined with these tiles all around it. And when the solids and waters are separating inside, the water is going through those tiles and actually draining out right here. And as you can see, that's pretty clean water. Like it's clear. It's not clean. Let me get this right. So it's not clean as in like you can even think about maybe drinking it. But from here, the water that flows out of this round is going into those collecting trays and going through these hoses on the ground into yet another storage tank. The tank that's underground right here is rigged up with some pumps and stuff that sends it to the city. It's a city water processing facility, treatment plant, kind of like this, but on a different level. So what they do there, so what happens when the water gets sent, that cleaner water gets sent from here to the city processing facility, what they do there is they actually treat the water further to get it closer to like drinkability. But then from there, once it's done processing there, it actually goes to a local golf course where they use that water to water their plant or their lawns, all the grass that is on the golf course, because this water is actually super high in nutrients, stuff that plants need. It's like Brawndo, it's what plants need to grow. And then from there, I mean, of course it gets evaporated back into the water cycle and recycled. So all the water that leaves here eventually just ends up back into the nature's processing plant, I guess. And now that that is filling, it takes a while. And as the polymers and all the chemicals and stuff are being used, I have to keep refilling them and keeping an eye on everything. So it's kind of a long waiting process from here. In the meantime, I do some other like maintenance stuff around the shop. I do a little repairs and whatever, cleaning, a lot of cleaning. We go through a bunch of this shit, so hand sanitizer, of course. But now it's basically just waiting. So while I'm waiting for the thing to do it, so while I'm waiting for the thing to do its thing, I'm gonna wash my truck because it's gross. So in case you guys were kind of wondering, this is what I do to kill time. One wheel. By the way, if any of you have not ever ridden a one wheel, highly recommend. It's one of my favorite purchases that I've made in the past couple of years. Whoop, gotta duck under that thing. And it's just straight up a good time. 10 out of 10, would recommend. They're super neat. I like saying neat, by the way. Things are neat to me. Nothing's cool, it's not dope. It's pretty neat. All right, so now that I got some time to, oh, my battery's dying. All right, there we go. Got it plugged in. So I got some time to kill, so I figured I'd talk to you guys for a little bit. So is what I do for a living a little gross to most people and not really the ideal job? Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, I'm super used to it. My dad is a self-made businessman. He started actually this plant, so I actually work for him. But he built this plant from the ground up, and he also started the main septic company for the main septic company for my entire area. He started that business basically when me and my brothers were born. He's done very well for himself. Did he think when he was growing up like, hey, I want to own a septic business, I want to pump people's septic tanks for a living, and then I also want to process all that because that's just my passion? No, he wanted to be a businessman, and he saw a hole, filled it, and made a very good living off of it. So that same man raised me in the mindset of there's no job that is under anybody. There should not be a job that is under anybody. Everybody needs a place to start, a good job to get them going after high school and into careers, especially if you're not the kind that goes to college. I think one of the big problems today is nobody talks about the trades as something that people should get into. Like right now, the trades businesses are the ones in the most need of laborers. Stuff like this, stuff like truck driving, things like welding, mechanics, all that stuff that actually pay super well, way more than people think they do. And they're some of the easiest jobs to get in, especially now, because it's like nobody wants to do them. If you have the mindset of there's no job that is under me, then you will be a lot happier with life, because you have better places to start, get experience in things you never thought you'd get experience in, and make good money while doing it, and actually find something that you never thought you'd find you like, and stay with it, and then eventually build that into a career. So I think that's one of the things that's very underappreciated is trades work in today's day and age, you know. So yeah, is what I do gross and off-putting to most people? Absolutely. Do I like what I do though? Absolutely. I actually really enjoy this job. Believe it or not, it's actually pretty good. It's a good job, makes good money. There's a lot of stuff here that I actually find myself enjoying, especially stuff like driving the trucks, or I get to operate heavy equipment, which is one of my favorite things. I get to operate the loader, I get to operate the forklift. But there you go. Now you've seen how a waste treatment plant works, and it's something that most people don't get to see, so I thought I'd show you guys. Okie dokie. So after it's been a couple hours I've been running, filling this round. Now that it's done, all I gotta do is shut it off, disconnect it, and we're good. Alright, so I let that drain for a little bit, and now that we're done for the day, all that's left is to spin this. Yeah, I said spin it. Believe it or not, this giant tank spins for about 10 hours overnight. What that's going to do is just let all of the rest of the water drain out of it. And then once it's all done that, I'm not going to be able to do this today to show you guys, but once it's all done that, and it's completely dry, or as dry as it's gonna get, we dump it up top, and it looks a little bit like, it ends up looking like that. So you can see through the whole process, everything I've done, it comes out as this super dry, it kind of just looks like dirt. And then that gets loaded into this beast. This is an end dump trailer, and the reason why they call it an end dump is because up at the front, up here, there's this big hydraulic ram that pushes the front of this up, and there's a gate on the back that you open. Push this up using some controls in the truck to where this thing is like way up in the air. It gets almost vertical, and it gets really sketchy too, because when it goes up that high, it's actually a super high danger of tipping over, so you got to be super careful. But yeah, it tips all the way up, dumps all that out at a landfill, and that's basically the whole process. All right, so from now on, anybody who's made it through to this point, you can now say and brag to your friends at parties and stuff that you know how a septic treatment plant works. Thanks for sticking around to this point, and this is the start of what's going to be my YouTube channel. Oh God. I used a tour of a septic treatment plant to help to try to start my channel. Is that a power move? I really enjoy making these videos. It's a lot of fun to me. I can pretty safely say this is what I want to keep doing. So stick around with me. Tell a friend. I don't know. Hit like, subscribe. Whatever the rest of the YouTubers tell you to do. I'm wrapping up here at work. I'm about to clock out and head home. Gonna go home and spend some time with my family. Family is important, so never forget that. And I will see you guys in the next one.